helped build what is known as American culture and what America is. You see what I'm saying?
Our, our organizing abilities and the pressure that we put on the U.S. government, you guys would not be here. Continues to try to extract. You go on TikTok.
You're still using entertainment.
Hey, look, people.
You talked about entertainment. You're still using entertainment.
But it functionally it has some type of value.
Can you take pride in medicine? Can you take pride in science? Sciences.
The volcano from out Iceland, they come to take over the rap game like the white man. Hitler the Hitler, photobombing Yahoo, red bomb missile. Watch me do it like the Pointer Sisters. Slip arsenic in your corn liquor. Some bigger L's than the Aubrey nigga. From Pappy Mason to Pastor Mason, the church is vacant. I'm preaching with Bobby, trapped in the basement. I'm laughing, just imagine the Sleepy Beauty had herpes.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the place to be. I'm your host, Adam Mill. To the left of me is Because the Governor. To the right of me is Quan Bizzle. In the middle is Ty. Skills Mega. He couldn't make it today, but he'll be on the show next week. And we also have Jamba One, who's on the show, but he'll be joining us shortly. Right. And we have special guests in the building. You know what I'm saying? Nostalgia's own JC. What's going on, fellas?
Yo, not bad, man. I had to do something. I'm sorry.
Y'all doing real quick before we get into the get down, bro. Y'all, I'm proud of y'all, man. Y'all doing some big things over there, man. Musically, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I listened to that John B today, and
he dope.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, man. It's some things y'all there. It's just like little minor things that's in your way that's controllable. That's the good part. It's controllable.
Yeah.
It's not out of your control. It's controllable. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
From a business standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's how I feel about it right now with nostalgia, man, what y'all young brothers doing.
Yeah.
And I don't say this often. You know what I'm saying, about people. And if I do say it often, it's a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? I'm always looking at potential. But you guys, bro, are millionaires, and it's not about the money, but y'all millionaires that's waiting for that moment. If that makes sense.
I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Like if you could time travel, like a year or two from now and come back and look at yourself, you're like, who's this person? I'm like, I'm you 2 years in the future. So I don't say this regularly, man. This y'all got something special going on, bro. I just want to make that known.
Man, you know? I appreciate that, man. Shoot.
Yep.
I would say that's every last one of us, you know. One can't work without the other, how I feel about it, you know.
Exactly. It's a Voltron.
Yep. Voltron. that old cartoon, man.
Definitely Voltron.
Yeah, we use like the Voltron.
Ty, what's on the docket, bro?
All right. So our first topic we got is we could just call it FBA, so diasporic tension. So on social media and TikTok, there's been a continued debate over language and cultural appropriation and identity between FBAs or foundational Black Americans and West African immigrants or migrants rather. And it can't go away. So we had to revisit this topic. So I wanted to start by, me and Adam L, we looked at a video that came out of one of these discussions that was kind of powerful, and we just wanted to kind of like discuss it and use it as like a conduit for the conversation. So before we start, I just want to go over the core arguments for both people, just in case you didn't get a chance to watch the video. So 1 second, I just got to pull up my that. So there was a couple of fellas on the panel that were debating this issue, discussing this issue. And Adam Mill, correct me if I'm wrong. Frank Zainu,
Zanu.
Zanu,
Zanu.
Zanu, and then
Yeah.
Dave Anderson, right? And then it was a couple of people outside of that, right? But Frank Zanu is South African, and his argument, just for everybody, is culture is fundamentally a worldview. It's not food, it's not dance, it's not clothing, it's not music. That kind of differs from a lot of our understanding of what culture is, because a lot of us would say culture is food, our language, our customs, and so on and so forth. He argues that true culture is a shared worldview. It's a shared language. It's a shared sense of purpose. Um, and he says that slavery's most destructive act was the loss of language, which in effect caused a loss of culture, history, and worldview. Since we all as African Black people, we lost our shared worldview, shared language, and so on and so forth because of the slavery. He says African Americans, like many post-colonial African nations, lacked a unified culture because they were formed. They descended into multiple tribes and languages and forcefully mixed, and none of them had a shared inherited worldview, right? So he used Ghana and Nigeria as examples of this, and he called them political constructs, not cultural ones. He says that the languages that we call like Creole and Platios and Ebonics aren't they're functional communication tools, but they're not full cultures, they're not full languages, and so on and so forth. And that Japanese, the groups with strong cultures, the Jews and the Japanese and the Chinese, have, like his earlier thing is, they have a shared language and community cohesion across the entire country. And
what you mean by shared language, though?
Their language, all of them speak the same language.
The
right?
Jews and Japanese?
No, not. I was just using them as examples. But
okay.
The Jews have one Yiddish, and the Japanese have their own language, and the Chinese have Mandarin. And everybody across the country speaks the same language. So there's not. He's saying when there's like, if their continent had a bunch of people speaking different tribes, different languages, they wouldn't have a culture. Is his argument, right? Then he emphasized that the oppression creates psychological prisons, and other oppressed groups recovered without and this is a key. He says that our oppression has created our victim mentality, and so on and so forth, has created, like, put us in like a psychological prison where we are
creating a boogeyman.
We've created a boogeyman, and we have the we always see ourselves as a victim, and we can't see ourselves outside of that, right? And then outside of that, he says other oppressed groups like Jews and Koreans and Eastern Europe's recovered without that type of paralysis that we experience. He says, well, why have we continued to deal with it and haven't resolved it, and everybody else has done that, right?
Can we start from there?
Yeah. Let me yeah, for sure. And let me lay down Dave's critique to it, just to keep it Dave is the I'll say African American, but he's an FBA. He's a foundational Black American, right? And he says his argument is coming from, well, African Americans or FBAs were denied the ability to inherit culture and were forced to create one under stress. Culture, and he argues, is culture can exist without an original language, and includes traditions and taboos and social norms and survival and stuff like that. He gives examples of Black culture, like gospel music, our language, family customs, spirituality, style, communal codes, so on and so forth. He says that we are uniquely we had to uniquely endure chattel slavery and redlining and lynching and Jim Crow and mass incarceration and Black culture. If as an example of our culture, right? He says that if the evidence for our culture is that our culture is globalized and it's copied everywhere, right? And everybody wants a piece of it, but they deny us ownership or control over it, right? And he gives examples of successful aspects of successful economic economies and that we've had, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Sanka Village, and Rosewood, and so on and so forth. And
Central Park.
Central Park and all of those different things. And he addresses the in terms of, Frank Zonu said, why didn't y'all leave? If y'all was, everybody else did, they didn't, why would you stay with your oppressors? And he says his argument was that, psychological conditioning, terror, lack of, viable support, stuff like that. Immigrants benefited from Black American civil rights, and without sharing the trauma, and Black Americans remain culturally influential, but economically excluded from media, tech, and capital control. So, their key points, and I guess this is where we can go start from. Their key points were where they were disagreeing were whether culture requires inherited language. So let's just start there. Does it require inherited language?
I didn't want to start there. I really want to start, and I mean we can go there, but
no.
I really want to start where he said that the small hats and the Chinese people, and they suffered similar traumas, but they was able to rebuild their society.
Yeah, let's start there.
But we can start with the language. I mean,
no, you point. I think, to be fair, I remember you saying that first, so I feel like it's only fair to start there.
Cool. So, here's the problem with that, Mr. Zanu, right?
Okay.
Unlike the small hats and the Japs, this was actually pre-planned. Like, they knew that the bombing on Pearl Harbor was going to take place. They knew the results of it, and they paid the reparations to the Chinese people or that Asian nation that was traumatized by it, right?
Right.
The small hats were World War II, Churchill. Those who know the story know, and those who don't, do your research. They not only got reparations to this day. America gives Israel $3 billion a day, free health care, and results that they said that we can't get reparations, we can't get free health care over here, right? So that's one. The point I'm trying to make is bringing it home. These people were vandalized and molested, if you will, traumatized, but they received reparations to start their own nation. They received backing. Where on the other hand, it never happened to us. We had to get it, as they say, top your bootstraps. We had to get it out on our own. And every time we built Black businesses, like the Black Wall Street, like what happened in New York City and other places abroad, they came and they tore it down, and we didn't have any protection from the government. Now, do I agree? And this for the second segment, because I'm going too far ahead with the, is Black supremacy fugazi, right? They didn't have to look out. They didn't receive their reward for their trauma. We didn't receive reward for our traumas. These other nations received reward for their trauma. So therefore, they had it back and they had a head start. They had a test run, if you will, and they flourished from it. Where us, on the other hand, we didn't have that. So we went out and got it on our own. And when we did get it on our own, they tore it down.
Right.
So that's all I need to say.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go on.
What do you think today is the day and age where we are flourishing from our traumas as a people? Or maybe I don't know. I
Um,
don't know.
I don't think we're flourishing. I think it's more cartoon. I think it's more. How can I put this? Break it down. Just say you have a car.
Yeah.
Body looks nice,
Mm-hmm.
right? The rims on it nice. The interior is nice. But when you pop the hood and the engine is a lemon. It can't go anywhere,
Yeah. I get
right?
it.
So
I
I
get it.
think that's basically what you see in unless we know of these people, what's on the forefront, and God may agree to this, is celebrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's star power. It's not like we can't look towards the scientist that's a billionaire or the doctor that's successful in black culture. It's always the entertainer, right? And we
Yeah.
all know that the entertainer is either pulled by strings or they're limited to their resources, what they allow them to do.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The only reason why I say that because we got a lot of people that want to copy our culture nowadays. So,
Right.
but that does make a lot of sense. Like the influence is not from a good place.
Yeah, and we all artists here, so um, it'll be crazy not to say that song and dance in its proper form shouldn't be celebrated, right? It's a good thing, right? For the most part, that's the intention of it. But
Yeah,
we need to be celebrated and more known for innovations like medical innovations, scientific innovations, and technical innovations, right?
yeah,
When the white folk look towards their elite, they can pull from the Beatles, Bon Jovi, and they can pull from Steve Jobs and what's my man Gov that with the stocks and bonds. I can't think of his name right now. The old cat.
no idea.
Well,
Um,
talking
you know what
about
I'm talking about. Well, they can
Buffett,
pull from
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. They can pull from different avenues that's known.
Yeah.
With black folk, we can't do that. And not to say that these avenues aren't available to us, but we have very little knowledge of these avenues. You get what I'm saying? I'm sure there's a few black millionaires that's in the world that doesn't have anything to do with entertainment and just innovative in certain things in the things I just mentioned. And technical innovations, medical innovations, and so forth. But we don't have knowledge of it.
Yeah, we
You
don't hear
ask
about them people.
no, you don't. You ask the average black child between the ages of 10 and 21, the average black person between the ages of 10 and 21, right? And I won't go into a rant because I know Ty, when the rest of the people speak on the panel and stuff. But you ask the average black person from the ages of 10 and 21, right?
Hmm.
Name me five successful financial innovators in your race that's not entertainers. They couldn't name you one.
Ooh.
Where if you go to the China man, where he trains his child to go to school all year round, and they learn these type of things at an early age. They're well informed with their history, their heritage, and who played the big part in changing the world. Right?
Hmm.
We're the only ones that can't do that or have the resources to have the knowledge of it. And that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Um,
God, what's your take on
no,
anybody?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
God, what's your take on it, bro?
This, this, this whole thing is a reason why that's a big part of why the divide has got to be why the divide is there. You know what I mean? You think about the whole split of things, the way that a lot of the countries were put together during the colonialism days. Like when you think about Nigeria is one of them. You think about how that was conglomerate because that had been taken over, and then a lot of their resources were being exploited. And then during the process of that, they ended up getting independence. But as a result, there's still that tie-in. There's a lot of that tie-in. Like a lot of the money is messed up now. You know what I mean? Like you think our money is bad over here, theirs is very bad. You know what I mean? They like I forget what the exchange rate is, but at least it's over 1,000. One of our dollars worth about 1,000 of theirs. You know what I mean? So that's just how bad it is, and it's even worse than that, really, because I think it's better than it's a lot worse than what I said. It could be like 12, but I was just saying 1,000. But I'm just saying, just to let you know on that level, that's how bad the money is. This is how bad people are struggling. You know what I mean? So when you think about things on that level and the level of, oil, that's one of their big resources, and that's a big thing that we all use all around this world. And you know what I'm saying, the United States right now, we're celebrating the fact that our gas prices are dropping, but with the oil being so low, they're not making any money at all off of that. You see what I mean? So there's a cause and effect that's going around that we're all benefiting from as well. You see what I mean? It's like it's back and forth to the point now that we'll keep fighting about these things, but a lot of the time, but back to this original question when it comes to the language and that being part of the culture, I see what the guy's saying about Zanu is saying about that, right? But at the same time, that's also forgetting the fact that our culture here is Black American at the same time. So we also built this American. We helped build what is known as American culture and what America is. You see what I'm saying? It's not like you can separate it and say, no, we came over there later. We came the first day. When the United States started, we was already here. You know what I mean? We came with that. Either we was here and we came over. You see what I mean? So it's a combination of the two when you think about this whole blend of what FBA is now, because you can say there's the native root as well as what we got from the people that were taken from there to over here. True.
Right.
True that we lost our language, but we at the same time have developed a lot of what became American language, because American English is not like the actual English is over in England. You see what I mean? So we have a big part to do with that, with the things that's built and what's also here. So when you put that together, that means that we do have a culture. You see what I'm saying? We was a big part of building this one. This is the same thing that also influences the rest of what they coming over and at the same time take advantage of at the same time. So we can't just, I think by going back and forth and trying to point that one doesn't have this versus the other, I think is a waste of time, because when it comes down to it, there is a shared thing that comes down where we're both victims of that part of it. But at the same time, why don't we build up and do the same thing that we say the other ones have done? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say the same, something along the same lines, especially when it came down to, I guess, like the culture, like language having to be unnecessary. I feel like just kind of similar to what you said. Frank wouldn't reckon he's not going to recognize that we reconstructed our own culture. It's like he comes from like slightly, like his framing is slightly elitist. It's like, well, if this is the original culture, and if you don't share that, or if you don't share the original language, and we all, have, then you're not it. And I think you have to. One thing I think both of them do, just to step back, is I think both of them fail to they don't recognize that both of their archives, their understandings of things, like which I think his name Dave is working, he has his understanding from the African American side. Frank has his understanding from the African migrant side, right? But neither man acknowledges the partial validity of both people's point. No, at no point. I mean, Frank says some things, but he dismisses a lot of things from of Dave's points, and each person has some validity in what they're saying. But if they can't agree and acknowledge that validity, then the conversation has already gone south. You know what I mean? Like Frank is going to see it from his side. Dave is going to see it from his side. I do think there's certain things that Dave has said that, like the whole thing about we being in a psychological prison. I do think that's a valid critique. Like sometimes people can be oppressed so much to the point where they don't even think. Was it Adam L, was it
Yeah.
the flea experiment that he was talking about where the
Yeah,
flea?
banging on the ceiling and to the point where they just give up and just drop dead in the water, whatever the case may be. That's a psychological experiment on it's supposed to be symbolic to the black man in America, where he's every time he get to a ceiling, he can't get past that ceiling, so he just drop dead in the water, something to that effect. But I want to ask something real quick. We always talk about language, right? Um, could we call English our language? Could you is it possible that you can claim something that was forced on you unwillingly and call it your own?
It's a version of your own. It's not your own.
You get what I'm saying?
It's
Because that's a
not.
part of colonization. I, this is why I agree with Zenu. Every person, the immigrants that come over here, no matter how much they're Americanized, no matter how much throughout generations, first, second generation, let's use first, second generation Colombian, right? Second generation, anywhere from the Caribbean, Jamaica, you name it, right? They can always go back to their original language and their original culture. The black man can't do that. Only thing he's hanging on to is something that, okay, they gave me pork, they gave me straps. I made pig feet out of it. They, you know what I'm saying? That I made something out of nothing from the scraps I was given. And I just look at that as European dominance. And I believe, in my personal opinion, they're laughing in our face because you still don't know your language. You still don't know where you come from. You get what I'm saying? You still can't trace yourself back to your roots. You're building on something that I allow you to have. You're building on something that I oppressed you with. You're still speaking the English language. No black, no, and prove me wrong. And let anybody on this panel, can they honestly trace back to their roots, their original culture and their original language? They can't do that. So that's a form of dominance. You
But
know, you've been colonialized, and you're the net that's on the ceiling. You have realized that I can't go past this because if I go past this, then I have broke free from my imprisonment. You have not broken free from your imprisonment. You're still a slave because you cannot go back and identify yourself with your original form. You took what they allow you to have and called it something of your own when originally it's not your own. So you have made something out of an oppressed situation and it is sitting back and laughing.
Yeah, but the only reason we slaves is the fact that we don't have ownership of the things that we help create. That's the only reason. If we had ownership of it, we would not be slaves at all. You see what I'm saying? Because we are the co-creators of this situation. You know what I mean? To come out of that, it wasn't like they were losing dominance at the point when they came over to do this whole experiment in the United States. You see what I'm saying? Now there's a lot of innovation that came at our hands. You see what I mean? So
right.
to say so I think the thing is that Zanu, the part of what he's saying that I would disagree with. I get the part that he's saying about having being able to maintain the language and history, but having a culture. But it's like as if the point is that those who have not done that, like, you know what I'm saying? Because this also includes the people that are Caribbean as well, because they're not speaking their original language either. Patois is a combination. You know what I mean? So when you think about those type of things, uh, 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 what he's trying to say is almost like he's saying those who don't have that are inferior to the ones that have that. So
It's
when you,
elitist.
huh?
It's elitist.
Yeah, it's very elitist, but by that aspect of it, I disagree because then at that point you're already cutting off the whole like because I think it's like you're dividing like like the brain is cut into the right brain and the left. You know what I mean? Like the right brain does its thing, the left side does its thing, but the two work together. So when we keep that divide going like that, the two will never work together. So they're just
And like one of his errors is that he thinks that culture is continuous, that it starts from, it has a clear end, I mean start and a clear finish, but it's just like a it's like culture for me is like it like you pointed out, Gov, there's innovations that happen. You know what I mean? Like it may start off, we might be talking a specific language and have specific outcomes, but as we go through this world, and it changes. That's where jazz and blues is uniquely it can trace back to Africa, but it is uniquely defined by the American experience. Nowhere else would that have been generated, and our language. Yes, English is not our original language, right? But we have one of the things that's been studied on the internet is the linguistic sophistication of Black language. We can say good, and good has 1,000 different. I'm good. You good? What's
Yeah, but you don't find something wrong with that though.
Not
You don't
necessarily.
find you don't find something wrong with
It's
that.
functional.
You don't find that English is one of the youngest bastard languages in the world and the worst language to learn, right?
It's functional. We can.
That can't define the linguistic meaning of anything. Like you really can't put all your cards. If I was in Vegas and I wanted to study on anything in life, that's dealing with humanity, English would be the last translation, alliteration I would look towards to study anything that's dealing with life. You don't find it bizarre that you're championing a bastard language?
Can we communicate with each
You
other?
know what I'm
That's
saying?
what
You
I'm
don't
saying.
find it
No, but
bizarre
my
That's
that
what
you're
all.
championing a bastard
uh,
language.
I think I don't believe in language superiority either.
no,
That's the same thing.
it's
Like all of a
functional.
sudden to say one language is better than the
I,
next.
I, I beg to
You know
differ.
what I
I
mean?
believe in language superiority. I
Right. Because
do.
in that
I
case, you might as
so
well
heartily
be.
believe in language superiority,
So
bro.
those who believe in language superiority also believe in the superiority of that race as well, that they are superior.
Not really. Not
I
really. It
mean,
depends because
if language is
no,
what
no, no.
dictates culture, then they must also dictate the superiority as well.
Okay, let's look at Hebrew for a minute, right?
They must be superior then.
Okay, let's look at Hebrew for a minute.
If their
I look
language
at
is
Hebrew
superior,
as a more superior language than English.
then that means the Hebrew people are superior than the rest.
No, it doesn't mean the Hebrew people are superior. It means that whoever studies that language and masters that language is superior to those who speak English.
So they should have come up with all the innovations of the world then.
You're missing my point.
If they're the
My,
best.
no, you're missing my point. I
If
never
the
said
language is the best, that means that they have the knowledge. You
Let
understand?
me ask you guys, what's
I
the
never
purpose of
said who's
language?
the best. I
Yeah.
said that the Hebrew language is far more sophisticated, far more superior to the English bastard language. You said it for yourself, Gov, in the beginning. Somebody said it, broken English. We don't even speak proper English. This is a laughing stock of a language, bro.
It's the same way that computer languages are built now. You know what I mean? And we're taking the ability to do that. We're manipulating languages into computer languages, which is now turning into AI. You understand?
Mm.
So when you think about that, the power of words. You see what I'm saying? We have the ability to do that. We're manipulating that to another. This is like real time. We're
I
watching.
agree with both of y'all points. I agree with both of y'all points. I'll say if you search certain words up, you will understand like they give a more clear meaning or a more different type of word than what they taught us in English. But at the same time, using English is power and communication in the word, even though English literally isn't it's
It's not all
true.
English, right?
It's not the best. It's not the best at all. English literally is not the best language. But I would say at the same time, it can be useful. You know, I can, if I want to learn a more clear meaning of a word, I go look it up and say, what does this mean in Latin, or look it up in Hebrew, and it would give you something that was you never would thought. One time I looked up and I said, what's the Latin word for monster, of course. And then they said the Latin word traces back to basically a demon. So basically, the word monster has a background of they used to say that it was basically a demon if you've seen a monster. That was basically like stuff like that. But I take both of y'all points. I'll take both of y'all points.
And what I
That's
would
all I can
say,
say.
one thing is like functionally, if the purpose of language is to communicate, right? So if we can communicate with each other, what does, yes, there may be more effective ways to say things, and yes, some languages are better at saying things, but if we can communicate with each other, get things done, other people can understand us, what does it matter? It's elitist to say that, well, your language isn't because you don't have the your original language, then you've lost your culture. That's fine.
Yeah, that's
Our
true.
culture now is we've taken the American language and we've reconstructed it. We've innovated with it. And
Okay, so let me
functionally
ask you
we can
this.
still communicate.
So let me ask you this. So learning language is you as a black man, you're admitting
Okay.
that the Caucasian has dominated you.
I'm not saying that at all. We've
No, no,
taken what
no,
they've given
no.
us,
If
but
we're
we
gonna take
know.
if we're gonna take that approach, right? God
Okay.
mentioned it. You know, if language means superiority, that means you've been conquered. You're the net that's trying to get out of the top of the jar. You've been conquered. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I went back and say, why would you take pride in the language that's also broken?
So
I'll be
what? So
ashamed.
what's the
I would be
alternative?
ashamed. I
What's the
would be
alternative? We
ashamed.
go back and learn a whole complete language or something?
No, you go back
Oh,
and find your roots and learn that language. That's what you do.
okay.
But you should never take pride in this.
Yeah, but here's the
Say
thing
I'll
though.
say it's good to do the research,
Yeah, you should
but
never take
don't
pride
But
in
how do
this.
you? But
It's
how
but
do
just
you?
my
don't take
opinion. It's
pride.
just
But
my
here's the
opinion,
Don't
thing
fellas.
though.
It's
Here's
just
the
my
question.
opinion. I could be
But,
completely wrong.
I
It's
get
just my
that.
opinion. That's
But
all.
here's what makes that unrealistic. We think we can find the roots, right? By going to these DNA, quote unquote DNA companies, right? We think that we've actually found the roots, but they're even showing that that's even a lot of their talk is actually a guess. So we're not actually finding true roots. You know what I mean? And then when people go back to find the roots, we also seeing stories where they're going back, spending a lot of money, and then they're finding out that the people there treat them like, nah, you really ain't one of us. We just using you like because you got quote unquote American dollars. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of that going on. So how do you rectify that part? You know what I mean? Because people say, all right, I'm gonna try to go find my roots, and then they go back and they go through the effort of doing that, and then it's finally they getting scammed.
Okay, is this a generalized
No, I'm just
topic?
saying,
Let's say if I,
I'm not saying general. I'm just saying like this is a part of the whole FBA going back to Africa thing because that's a
yeah,
big thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I've
yeah,
seen a
yeah.
lot of, and you also do see a lot of stories about that on YouTube.
Yeah, but okay, let's say I want to trace my roots back to Ghana, right?
Yeah,
I go to Ghana, and Ghana's, the people in Ghana that I interact with treat me like a secondhand citizen, or whatever slur they want to use, right? Do I brush that with all Ghanans, people from Ghana?
you know.
Or do I go back to the States and say, oh man, Ghanans, they hate FBAs, boy, they treat us like trash. When you have not interviewed every person in Ghana. So you can't make that general statement.
But if
My
they
my
stayed there, what
my
if they stayed
argument,
there for years though? What if they had done? What if they tried for like years? You know what I'm saying? It ain't like saying they was only there for a couple of weeks or something, but they went through the general experience.
then again, my opinion, I could be wrong. I think I said this on the last podcast. I play things by statistics and numbers, right? And I know that sounds unfair in certain cases. I go to Ghana and let's say there's 10 million people there, right? And let's make a small number more realistic. Hypothetical, it's 10,000 people there. Out of that 10,000, seven treated me like a secondhand citizen. I can honestly make an exception of all of them. It's unfair, but I say Ghanaians treat me like treat Black Americans, quote unquote, like secondhand citizens. You get what I'm saying? But if the number's even or the number's less than, then you got to come up with a different analogy. You got to say, speak the truth of it. Half Ghanaians treated me like a secondhand citizen, and others treated me with open arms. Or if the numbers is less negative, you got to say, well, Ghanaians don't treat Black folk like that if you're playing the numbers game. You get what I'm saying? But my biggest thing is, and I know we've been stuck on language for a long time, my biggest thing is when they strip you of your beliefs, your heritage, your culture, they strip you of your language, you have been dominated and you shouldn't take pride in it. That's as simple as that. Especially, now here's the exception to the rule, especially if it did not benefit you for the better. Because sometimes we know that war is necessary. We know that in war, people get conquered. You hear what I'm saying? but that people can come and upgrade that Pacific society. Then you can take pride in it. But in taking pride, also have in your mind that your original culture has not left you, in a sense. I'll take a perfect example. What happened to the Moors in Spain? They came and upgraded their society. They didn't downtrod it. They didn't make it worse. They upgraded their society. You get what I'm saying? So at that time, you could take pride and say, okay, yeah, we was eating monkey. I'm gonna make it hypothetical. We was eating monkey nuts. Pause. But yet they came and showed us how to use a spoon and a fork and kill a cow for hamburgers. You can take pride in that. But the black man cannot take pride of what has been done to him here. And if he takes pride in what has been done to him here, then he has already lost and he's a slave.
So we can't take pride in jazz and blues and hip hop and the fact that we have exploited our culture has been exported worldwide and been appropriated and extracted worldwide. Can't we take? Isn't that something that we should take pride in? Yes, our language might not be our own, but we have created so many things that the world continues to try to extract. You go on TikTok.
You're still using entertainment.
Hey, look, people.
You talked about entertainment. You're still using entertainment.
But it functionally it has some type of value.
Can you take pride in medicine? Can you take pride in sciences? Can you take pride in these things?
We have.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Academically literary.
Here's the reason why. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We had a guy that we used to like, and now we don't like the dude no more because he liked Trump. You see what I mean? We used to talk about him, but as soon as people do like that, that was Ben. What's his name? Last name Ben something.
Not Ben Carson. I don't know Ben who.
Yeah, him.
Okay.
We used to like that dude. We used to mention him back in the day. Say about 15, 20 years ago, we would have thrown his name out there like Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. I forgot what he did, open heart surgery or something like that he was doing. But anyway, back in the day, we would mention people like that back in the day. But every time somebody does something that goes against the quote unquote what we supposed to be in line with, we automatically cancel them and they immediately gone from our viewpoint. That's why the only people we can mention are the LeBron James, the Michael Jacksons, the Michael Jordans of the world. You see what I mean? That's the only thing we could go back to. Because
and I will to add to Gov's point, we have literary giants, academic giants, Cornel West, James Baldwin, Fannie Lou Hamer, all of these different people who have like their focus may be we may position around language or music or so on and so forth. But academically, for instance, when it comes to the civil rights movement, there's certain things that have come out of our scholarship, right, that has influenced the world. Black feminists and critical race theory and all of these different things have influenced all Palestinians, for instance, have extracted. If you look at some of the Palestinian scholars, right, when they describe the Muslim race, the racism that happens against Muslims, right, they oftentimes borrow from our scholarship. And it's happened all across the world, right? But Palestine is one example that I can bring up. It's like we dominate in many different things, right? The language, yeah, we might not have our own language.
We dominate in a lot of things, but we don't dominate in owning land. We don't dominate in the White House. We don't dominate in military. We don't dominate in the things that's important to, essential to survival. Okay? We don't dominate in these things. We don't.
We're in politics.
Obama?
No, we have Ilhan Omar. We have who was the his name forgets me. It's escaping me right now. But we have literary giants. We have people in politics. Yes, right. Are we on top? No, I don't think that the way that the power structures are set up in this country that'll ever happen. But to say that we haven't thrived, because look at other people in this country.
No, I never said.
Look at where we came from and where we're at.
I never said you haven't thrived. You missed my point. I said with the crumbs you were given, you're happy with the scraps. If you paid attention to the beginning of the argument, I made
Okay.
an assumption off of the scraps. We made hog maws and chitlins. We made food out of. We made something out of nothing. I'm
Okay.
saying,
And
why
then
are
you
you taking
made it
pride?
work too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but why are you taking pride in something that they gave you?
Right,
If
but
they
see that.
wanted to, they could have starved you to death. There's nothing you would have done about it.
Yeah, but you're saying that's the only thing that we attributed. That the whole contribution that we're doing is just that. You're only saying that that's the only thing. Like the things that we had mentioned before aren't are
And
doing. You see what
the
I mean?
crumbs they did gave us, we built it and made something, and a lot of it they want to copy off now. I mean, they did
Right.
give us crumbs, but now it became something over time. That's why I
You-
can say, and
The
that
fact that
can.
we got traffic lights. You know what I mean? That's our invention. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but who profit off of that?
I'm just saying the fact that that's our invention. You see what I'm
I
saying?
get it,
We had a
but
lot to do with building
who
that, but
profit off of that?
I get that. That's why I said that's the only reason you missed the point that I made earlier. The only reason that we are slaves is the fact that we don't have the ownership of the things that we actually put into the play. But when you think about the fact that we helped build it, that's the stuff to be proud of, the fact that we had the ability to build.
And
I
Because
don't
we
know, Gov.
tried
I
to
don't
build.
listen. It's real quick, Gov. I mean, time to let you cook. I'm gonna answer
Uh,
Gov real quick. I don't know if I could take pride in building a muscle car, and my white counterpart jumps in the car and say, "Thanks for helping me build this." Guess what? The bus stop is over there. Ah! Oh man,
yeah,
I built that. I built it. Why are you never in it? Why you don't own it?
because you didn't do the legal side of it. But if you had
Yeah,
understood that part, I think that's the part that we're missing out of it. That's the only part that's missing. If we had played
basically,
that part in it, you know what I mean?
and, and look, the other thing is like one thing that I think is, Dave in that interview talked about, right, specifically is that we have tried. A matter of fact, let me 1 second. We've attempted, right, the Bill Black Wall Street, Tuck and all of these different ones, and each time that we got to a certain point where we're demonstrating ownership, where we're demonstrating agency, it was destroyed, right? But not let me also add this. When it comes down to our impact on the world, Frank, for instance, was always, he asked a couple of times and made a critical error in his logic where he's like, you know, uh, what did we do? What did Black Americans do for the world? For instance, for non-immigrants that come to this country, right? If it was not from the social movements of and the academic scholarship and pressure from Black Americans, many non-immigrants, non-Americans would not be here. We forced the Civil Rights Act to be passed, the Hart-Celler Act to be passed, and we open up what Africans oftentimes don't acknowledge is that without our scholarship, without our social, our organizing abilities, and the pressure that we put on the U.S. government, you guys would not be here.
I,
A lot of
I
people, and
get
not
that.
only just Africans, other Syrians and Russians, they would not be here because of the way of how narrowly defined of what the American category was before.
I get that part, but still, just working with the scratch we were given. Caucasians make miracles every Thanksgiving.
Look, the way I see it, we turned lemons. We were given lemons, and we
So,
made lemonade.
so I understand. I think so. Your point is basically you just have no pride on anything. We should be
No,
ashamed
it's
of
not.
all of it.
No,
Hold your
it's
head
saying
down.
that.
We didn't
Saying
make
that.
any
Why should I?
we didn't make any contributions. Well, that contribution, since we don't own it, there should be no pride in it. We got to
No,
take it
no.
from it. That's what you're saying.
I
I was only
challenge.
saying all I was saying was you should have pride for the thing that you got accomplished. And you should also have shame for the fact that you didn't keep it like you're
Did I
supposed
forget?
to. You know what I mean? We don't keep like see, think about the current time right now. We just watched it happen in the whole hip hop era. Who owns it? We don't even own the technology when it comes to the scratching. None of that. And the dude that did it, the dude that invented that part, right? You got techniques and all these other companies is making big money off of that. Kids buying it, trying to think they're gonna be little DJs of the future now. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, that dude is sitting home, regular house like us.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. How can I find pride in something that I can't equally share?
That's what I
If I
mean.
help build this country, then why can't we equally share the power structure in America?
I get that. That's
I
what I'm
can't take
saying.
pride in that, bro.
You got
That's
to
not
take
how
half
it is.
pride. I'm
I
saying
can't take no pride in that,
you
bro.
got to
And
take
then
pride in having the knowledge, but at the same time, we also got to take like we got to also get the knowledge to be able to maintain when we invent something, we got to make sure that we keep it. You know what I mean? We don't do that. That's the part that's wrong with us. We
And
got to fix that part.
and this is what Dave and Frank they kind of both fail at this point, is that they try to collapse. They both describe the dynamics as in binaries. It's either or, right? So Dave emphasizes power asymmetries and extraction and narrative control and stuff like that, and I think that's very important, right? And then Frank, he emphasizes agency, accountability, and stuff like that, right? And avoiding victimhood and stuff like that, right? But really, the truer picture is when you combine both of them. Yes, we should take accountability. Yes, we shouldn't, like in your case, we shouldn't be okay with crumbs. But the full picture is that together, because of power asymmetries, because of capitalist exploitation and all of those types of things, we did not have the agency to thrive to our fullest. But to deny, to dismiss, is, I don't think that's effective, because it's disingenuous, because it's like, no, we did very good things in we've innovated in the best we could. We took lemonade and made, I mean, we took lemons and made lemonade.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
you don't. But
something.
you don't understand though. You don't own the lemonade stand.
I
So
get that. Right.
what
That's what
if-
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're right
But is it
they
our
one
basically
fault?
end.
saying they thieves, huh?
Right.
Is it our fault? If we've tried to build Black
now,
Wall Street, everything else.
now you're having a defeative mentality.
Right. But
No,
that's what I'm saying. No, no, no.
it's realizing the structural facts, the structural realism of the situation. If
Yeah.
people have tried multiple times, but because of racism, because of capitalist exploitation, we have been tethered to this reality. Yes, you can go over in Africa and do the same. They got the same things. That's the other thing. Nobody has a perfect condition, because we don't live in a perfect world.
Okay, so this ties into our next topic. Unless y'all want to elaborate more on it, is black
Well, let's
supremacy
go.
food? Is black supremacy fugazi? Is that the next thing on the docket, or what's different? I think
Uh,
it's a perfect segue.
yeah. So, all right, 1 second. Let me get my sheet up real quick. All right, so like Adam L said, that's a good segue. We kind of